Draft season is over. The Chargers have signed their undrafted free agents. Rookie minicamp is done. And right now, before training camp kicks off, this might be the best moment we'll get to step back and really take a critical look at where this roster stands compared to last season. You've heard the hype, you've seen the headlines, and maybe you've even watched the social media clips. But let's be honest, does this team actually look better? Or are we just hoping for the best again? Because if there's one thing I've learned over the years following this team, it's that sometimes what sounds good in theory doesn't always show up on Sundays. So, in this video, I want to go position by position, talk about the key changes the Chargers made this offseason, what actually looks like a real improvement, and what still feels like a question mark heading into 2025. Because yes, there are upgrades here, but let's not act like this roster is perfect. Far from it. What's up, Chargers fans? Welcome to the NFL Playbook Chargers. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. This channel is all about breaking down everything you need to know about the Bolts. Let's start with the most obvious improvement, the running back room. Now, I know a lot of fans have mixed feelings about this one, especially with Najee Harris being the headline addition. Is Najee really that much better than Gus Edwards or J.K. Dobbins? Honestly, yes, but not in the way people might think. Najee isn't the most explosive back in the league. He's not going to rip off 60-yard touchdowns every other week, but what he does bring is consistency. He's durable, he's physical, and he fits exactly the kind of downhill smash-mouth football Jim Harbaugh wants to play. Last year, the Chargers' run game was just flat-out inconsistent. Sure, J.K. Dobbins had some big plays that made the numbers look decent on paper, but when you really dig into it, they finished 27th in rushing success rate. That means they were constantly getting stuffed on early downs. They weren't keeping the offense on schedule. They weren't controlling the tempo. Najee, for all his critics, gives them a guy who can at least pick up those hard-earned 4 or 5 yards consistently, and the wild card here is Omarion Hampton. This dude might end up being the real star of the group. He's younger, fresher, and he's got legit home run ability. There's a world where Najee starts the year as RB1, but by midseason, it wouldn't shock me at all if Hampton takes that job and doesn't give it back. On top of that, you've got Raheim, an undrafted rookie that, for whatever reason, the coaching staff seems to be hyping up more than anyone else from that UDFA class. I wasn't crazy about Sanders' college tape, but clearly the staff sees something there. So overall, yeah, I'd call the running back room a clear upgrade. It's deeper, it's tougher, and it fits the identity Harbaugh wants to build. Now, let's talk about the wide receiver, because this is where things get really interesting. Look, the Chargers' vertical passing game last year was borderline non-existent. DJ Chark was supposed to be that deep threat, but, I mean, the dude finished with 31 receiving yards. That's it. You and I probably ran more routes in our living rooms last year than DJ Chark did on the field. It was that bad. So, what did the Chargers do? They threw bodies at the problem. Mike Williams is back. Tre Harris is in the building. Jalen Reagor is here, and they added Keandre Lambert-Smith for more speed. This is clearly an intentional shift toward getting bigger and faster on the outside. And it makes sense. Ladd McConkey is a great route runner, but he's not going to stretch the field vertically. You need someone who can do that. You need someone who can back safeties off the line of scrimmage. Right now, that's what Mike Williams brings, even if he's not 100%. Tre Harris could grow into that role, but expecting him to carry that load as a rookie might be asking a bit much. I think the most likely scenario is Mike Williams starts the year as your primary outside guy. You rotate Quentin Johnston in there too, and by midseason, if Harris is ready, maybe you will start seeing him take over. Either way, the Chargers now have real options. Last year, they had nothing. This year, they've got size, they've got speed, and they've got depth. I don't think this receiver room is elite, but it's a hell of a lot better than it was. Okay, now let's move to tight end. I was probably higher on Tyler Conklin than most people when they signed him. Say what you want about his upside, but this dude has produced some of the worst quarterback plays in the league. He's had 500, 600-yard seasons with Zach Wilson throwing him the ball. That's all you really need to know. This is a legit starting tight end. And I'd argue he's already better than Hayden Hurst ever was in this offense. You bring back Will Dissly, who quietly had a solid year last year. He's one of the better blocking tight ends in the league, and if they keep him in more of a traditional Y role, that's going to help the run game tremendously. And then there's Oronde Gadsden II. Look, I've seen people already comparing this kid to Brock Bowers. Let me just pump the brakes right there. He's not Brock Bowers. He's a fifth-round pick. Brock Bowers was a top 15 talent in any draft class. Gadsden's best-case scenario is probably being a matchup piece in specific packages, and that's perfectly fine. If he gives you 200 to 300 yards as a rookie and shows some upside, that's a win. Now, red zone offense. Last year, this team had no identity in the red zone. I mean, watching them try to punch it in from the 5-yard line was downright painful. It was either fullback screens or forcing balls to Ladd McConkey in triple coverage. It just looked desperate. This year feels different. You've got size now. Mike Williams is back as your fade route guy. You've got Tre Harris. You've got Conklin. And most importantly, you've got Najee Harris and Omarion Hampton who can actually punch it in between the tackles. I'm not saying they're going to go from 18th to top 5, but this offense should be more balanced and much more threatening inside the 20. Defensively, I want to highlight the secondary depth, because this is an area where I think they quietly did some really smart work. They swapped Christian Fulton for Donte Jackson, which, let's be real, is kind of a lateral move at best. But where they really got better is with the depth behind those starters. Benjamin St-Juste, R.J. Mickens, Trikweze Bridges. These aren't household names, but they're long, athletic, and they fit what Jesse Minter wants to do with more man coverage. Last year, when injuries hit, the Chargers were signing dudes off the street. Eli Apple played meaningful snaps for this team. That should never happen again with the depth they've built now. And look, I get the hesitation with Cam Hart's injury history. I get that Donte Jackson hasn't been the most consistent player. But this time around, the Chargers actually have options. If someone goes down, you're not scrambling. You've got bodies. And I think that's going to matter, especially later in the season when guys start getting banged up. Lastly, let's talk about center depth, because even though it's not flashy, it might be the most important improvement no one is talking about. Last year, the backup center situation was laughable. Brendan Hymes and Bucky Williams were both technically listed as backups, but neither should have been anywhere near a game day roster. This year, they brought in Andre James, who has legit starting experience. He's not an all-pro, but as a backup, that's solid. You've also got Zion Johnson cross-training at center, and Carson Barnhart looks like he could stick as a practice squad guy. Again, it's not flashy, but it's a huge upgrade in terms of stability. So, all in all, this roster is better. The floor is higher. The depth is better. The scheme fits make more sense. But let's not sit here and act like the Chargers just turned into a Super Bowl contender overnight. There are still questions, plenty of them. Is Najee Harris really the long-term answer at running back? Can Mike Williams stay healthy? Will the red zone offense finally click? Can this defense take another step forward in year 2 under Jesse Minter? And of course, can Jim Harbaugh get this team over the hump? That's the million-dollar question. Because as much as I like the changes they've made, the AFC is brutal. The Chiefs still run this division until somebody proves otherwise. The Broncos got better. The Raiders look tougher. Nothing is going to come easy. So, what do you think? Share your thoughts in the comment section.